Well, I appreciate y'all showing up tonight, hanging out on a Monday night. The reason why I want to do this show is because I get to have the conversations with people in this industry that mean a lot to me and that mean a lot to our city or this country is through its food eyes, right? And trying to figure out like what those conversations are, right? And we get to just sit back over a cocktail, a glass of Elijah Craig, like that, and just have the conversations about life, business, like how you do it, why you do it, what made you want to get into this crazy business? Does it make sense? Is it fun? The answer is yes to all of it. But so it's just like letting you guys be a part of that too. So when we talk about the QR code, yeah, ask the questions, right? And that was the thing is like, when we first started this, was like, do you want people to go around with a microphone? No, I don't. Like, OpenTable has the technology, let's use it, right? And so just send a little, fire off a question, we'll ask whatever you want. The music that you all heard tonight is just like welcoming you into my soul and my life. But I asked a question to whoever's coming to do these shows, right? What would be the song that in the 9th inning, 2 outs, your number gets called? What are you coming out to? Right? Obviously, it's Bullseye Parade for me. You never know what it's going to be, actually. That can change all the time. But I asked Patrick first. And so before I bring them out, these are just 3 really important people in my life. And I think that they are important in this city as far as our foodways go. So we've got Patrick Feges of Feges Barbecue, Leonard Botello the fourth from Truth Barbecue, and Greg Gatlin from Gatlin's Barbecue. And we'll get into the nuts and bolts of it here in a minute, but I was going to call all 3, and we were going to do a song by each one, right? I called Patrick first, and he told me, you'll hear the song, but he said, this is what we played as we were going over to the burn in Iraq every time. So, without further ado, gentlemen, please, music, let's go. Greg Gatlin, ladies and gentlemen. Leonard. I love you. So, thank you for that. Sorry y'all didn't get any options, but you weren't getting one when I heard that. So it's kind of how that works, you know?
Cool story.
You tell me that story, it's done. We're over. Thank y'all so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
No, it's really cool. Like, we don't get to have this option. I mean, we'll sit around and BS every once in a while and talk, but like to sit up here and have a conversation with everybody else, like it doesn't happen that much.
You brought note cards?
I brought a note card. Because literally, like, I wrote a bunch of questions out today, and it's like minimal questions. I sent it to all of them. They probably just looked at it and were like, which is pretty much what's going to happen at some point with me too, because like we're going to have these conversations, we're going to talk about it, and then we just follow the flow, right? I don't really want to set things. So like I'm going to start off with the first question because I wrote it down, but there's like 7, right? Where'd you grow up, man? Patrick?
Sugar Lane.
Sugar Lane?
Mm-hmm.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. And I could not wait to get out.
Well, you don't live there anymore, so.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I could, I got out.
Is your phone whistling at me?
My wife's still trying to get in. No, I'm joking.
She's right there. Ooh, boy. So I'm going to go to you then.
I'll do it.
Where'd you grow up?
Houston.
Yeah?
Yep. North side. I guess Garden Oaks, Oak Forest area.
Yeah. Where you're at now?
So, yeah.
You didn't get out of it.
I did, man. I went right back.
And you?
Lake Jackson.
Lake Jackson?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So everybody's pretty much, I'm not.
You're not.
No. Born in Nebraska, grew up in Oklahoma.
Yep.
But don't hold that against me.
I don't.
Someone was like, we can wrestle. This Panto area is a lot. We can, come on up. Kidding. Get in trouble for that later. So each one of you decided to get in the bar. Why did you get in the barbecue? I mean, because you went to college at Rice. You played football at Rice.
Yeah.
Like cornerback, is that right?
Safety.
Safety?
Corner.
Sorry, my bad.
No, I started at corner.
Okay, well then I was right.
It's
Never
all
mind.
good.
But like, where did that go? Right?
I mean,
Why?
So we grew up barbecuing a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and as I started to kind of progress through the whole corporate America thing, I said, you know what? I want to do something that kind of I want to do before I get too old. And
Because Rice doesn't have a culinary school.
no, not at all. Far from.
Yeah, not even
Far
close.
from. Not even close. Like,
I've gone over there. They do a chemistry and food class, which is awesome. But
I did hang out in the commissary
oh,
a little more than probably I needed to.
you went down the wrong
I
path,
did.
which is actually the right path for the rest of us.
But yeah, man. So I mean, I've always been a fan of food, and it's always been a part and a fabric of our family. And so I said, why not? You know, I needed to go ahead and do it now before I change my mind and get stuck in the rat race. Well, what I call the rat race back then.
A lot of people still call it that.
Yeah.
You're okay.
So, but yeah. So I mean, that's why I got into it, and I didn't necessarily. Honestly, I didn't even know how successful it was going to be or not. I know I have a drive to do something. I usually get it done, but you know, it was a risk. It was a risk, and then doing it with my parents was probably. It's a strange thing getting into family business, but you know, just having their support and their blessing to say, hey, let's go, we'll do it with you. Because my dad was retiring at the time, and so
Sucker.
he got suckered in like real bad. He got suckered in real good. He said, hell, I had worked like this, you know, when I was working. I was like, but yeah, so doing it with them, man, has really been a blessing for us. So
I imagine that's hard too, but I'll get back to that because the whole all you three work with family. Both of you work with your wife. Why'd you get into this? I mean, what the sprawling town of Lake Jackson probably had lots of opportunities
No,
for you.
I
But what the hell were you thinking?
I finished school at, and I told you the story before.
That's why we're here.
I know.
That's literally why we're here.
I finished school at A&M, and yep.
Very good, Alfreds.
My wife always gives me a hard time because I don't wear my ring, and I'm like the worst Aggie possible. But
I bet there's probably worse.
yeah,
You're a pretty good kid.
I didn't know. I spent my entire life trying to get out of the restaurant industry because my parents were in there, and I was like, no way, I'm doing that. Not a chance. Because everybody in the restaurant industry, they'll tell you,
Run.
don't do it.
Yeah. It's funny because everybody tells you to run, but they're the first ones to run to it.
Yeah,
Right?
1,000%.
And so, like, that, don't believe that shit.
Because we wake up, we complain about it day in and day out, and then we can wake up with a smile on our face and go and do it again.
You complain about it as
Yeah.
you're going in to be like, this is the happiest day of my life.
Yeah. But I always tell people, like, there's always like 3 to 5 meals that you always remember your entire life, like no matter what, and it kind of just like always sticks with you. It was in 2013 when barbecue was like really booming, and we went to Aaron's, and I went to Law Barbecue when John Lewis was still there, and that was like my excuse my French, that was my holy shit. Like, oh, if this is what barbecue is supposed to be, then I have no idea.
I didn't know that was French.
Yeah.
Because I have a whole different region of France that I speak, so yeah.
But that was like, but my first experience, and Greg didn't even know this until recently I told him, was at Gatlin's, and when he was, where was the first location?
19th Street.
2010.
Yeah, on 19th.
Yep.
Yeah.
2010.
And that was when I really started following Texas Monthly, and I just remember Greg being in that little house or whatever it was, and I just thought that was like the coolest raw experience. And then going to Austin and experience that, and I'm like, dude, people are waiting in line for this stuff that's been around for generations. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But the culture of it, and people talking about like all their experiences, and like it just bringing people together. It's like barbecue. Waiting in line for barbecue is basically like the equivalent of you having a barbecue in your backyard. And that experience and like bringing people together, it was kind of like, I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
You guys give me anxiety. We'll talk about that.
But the second part was
Golly.
I have crippling social anxiety.
You have people in line all day, and you have to talk to them. How is that? That doesn't help.
Well, the reason I loved barbecue so much was because I could be left alone for 12 to 16 hours.
We're doing a good job right here. Maybe we should have these conversations about this before I ask you.
And,
I don't really want to talk to people.
But I just fell in love with it, and it became a science project because you guys know
It is science.
It's never the same day after day, no matter how many times you've done it. Everything's different. The cows are different. The wood's different.
Yep.
Chasing that dragon.
Yeah.
This, we'll get into that in a minute because you guys I don't get it. What got you into it? I think I know what got it into, but you need to tell these people what got you into it because
First and foremost,
glass to you.
I grew up eating barbecue like all of us, and one of my favorite things to eat. But what really got me into it was, like you said earlier, I was in the Army and got injured and medically discharged, and that was kind of my whole career plan was to do that for 20 years.
Yeah.
And so then that got kind of pulled out from under me, and I had no idea what to do. So as I was getting out of the military in a medical holding company in San Antonio, another guy that was getting out had an old, half rusted out Brinkman smoker. And he's like, well, you live in Houston right down the road. You want to take this home? I'm like, sure, okay, whatever. And then when I got out, I just started playing around with it. And the bug bit me pretty hard. And it was hanging out with my friends, trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, and just drinking beer, playing with fire, cooking meat. I kind of went in the military thinking I might do food when I got out. My mom always pushed me towards that. And it always appealed to me, but it also thought about teaching, which I'm really glad I didn't go that route. I would not have been good at it. But as I got more into food and cooking more and playing around with barbecue, and then, like I said, just chasing a dragon, just trying to figure it out. And then I decided to go to culinary school and actually have a fallback plan this time. If barbecue doesn't work out, I'll have a base to work in restaurants and, work anywhere I want. And so that's how we met.
Yep. I mean, you're a good cook.
Oh, yeah. I ended up working for you, and you're the one that kind of kicked me out the nest to do barbecue. I was working for you when I started doing pop-ups.
Yeah.
Back in 2012?
Something like that. 12, 13, something like that.
And you kicked me out the nest and told me, like, hey, you got to do this.
Well, I mean, you said it a lot of times. It's like, this is what I really want to do. It's like, then why are we messing around with this? Like,
I
love
fun.
having you here, but this isn't your dream.
Yeah.
Go follow that dream.
Yeah.
You can always come back to this,
Yeah.
but if you don't, challenge yourself to do it, like.
I was having a lot of fun.
I know. I'm glad you did that, though.
Busy trying to win a James Beard Award.
Right. I don't even know how to
Got him.
You were there for that. Wow. I feel like I should just throw this thing down because there's I need to ask some questions. This is where the real talk happens. I don't get it. You guys live in what the hell? You with the anxiety and you have to deal with different circumstances every single day. Like at least in like a restaurant where you're cooking to order, that ain't right. Start again. That ain't right. Let's do this one again. Okay, that's too salty. Let's go. You don't have that option.
No.
You are open to criticism from the moment you open the door of the day to the moment you close the door of the day. And arguably the most criticized food aspect that there is. Not criticized, but it can be criticism, but it can be like...
It's criticism.
It's criticism. Yeah, it is. It is. But I don't understand, because you said the variables, and that's kind of what I want to get into, because like I think how many people have a smoker in their backyard? Or a grill? Yeah, we all do, right? Yeah.
It's a lot.
How awesome is your stuff every day? Right? I like that. I mean, I crush it, right? I do not. Like, and like, you're like, well, you have a nice pit. Well, you know, how's your brisket? I was like, I'm calling y'all, and have definitely when I eat briskets because I'm not cooking them because I can't live in that world, and I don't know how you do that. You guys all sit quietly, like you just take it, and arguably, like you guys are the best at it, right? And when y'all are on every list. And when I say that, I'll make a very bold statement that when they said that you guys are some of the best in Texas, to me that says best in the world. Yep. Right? Yep. So acknowledge that. People in California and Memphis and wherever else are gonna Kansas City, that bullshit, whatever. Sorry. we'll say it, but like the technicalities and like the thought process, like cooking a whole hog is hard. But doing what you guys do on a daily basis with consistency and knowing that that first person that walks in has to have the same exact bite as the last person that walks in, and you don't have control of that, completely. Like, you can't be like, nah, we're done.
I've done that before.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of got to, right? If it sucks, it sucks. You can't do it.
I've closed the doors before.
Yeah. But, like, has there ever been that moment where you walked in and, like, that entire cook sucks?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
1,000%.
Yep.
I mean, what do you do? Yeah, that's the best question. Like, what do you do? I mean, it's, again, this is coming from somebody that doesn't do this for a living, right? Like, in essence, I was in an event in Charleston with Stanhope, a friend of ours, Jason Stanhope, and Billy Durney. And Billy was kind of getting into somebody about using their thermometer. And Jason just looked at him and was like, your job is to overcook meat. What do you need the thermometer for? And I was like, but it's not.
Yeah.
Right? It's not. There's so much more to it. And you guys have to fight that. Like, so let's just take this weekend, right? On Friday, what was the temperature outside? 75?
70s? Yeah.
Right? Got some humidity later in the day. It rained on Saturday. Sunday it's cold. You have to retweak everything, yeah?
With those pits, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on where they are.
That's the fun part.
That's what a lot of people don't realize is the external environment changes everything internally, and you got to pivot. But I think that's why we like it. It's like you get fixated on it, you get tunnel vision. It's like a puzzle. It's like a game of Sudoku from start to finish, and you're just trying to move the parts around to get the perfect, find that dragon. The dragon doesn't exist.
Yeah.
We both know that.
You're just chasing it, but you're never going to find it.
You're not going to find it. Because no matter how good the cook is at the end of the day, you're still chasing the next best one.
Yeah,
And it's like, it's a sickness.
A way to make it better.
I mean, you like cooking steaks.
I like cooking everything. except
You
for
probably
chicken
get a bunch of great pictures of steaks, but you're still trying to make it better day after day.
Yep.
Like,
Look,
whenever
man,
you can your steak.
I used to work for you, and you love to show up from the farmer's market and be like, hey, create a dish, you got 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if it was easy every day, you get bored.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're into it, because it's a challenge every single day, and it keeps it's interesting.
But I built a restaurant based on inconsistency.
So did we.
Well,
I feel like it's kind of trying to be consistent, but it's the variables are what make you have to drive it to.
Yeah, everything that we have involved is inconsistent.
So let me
we
ask
have
you this: 70 and sunny, nah, hell with that, because that's very rare. 100 and humid.
The best. So
Is that a good time to cook?
to put it in perspective, we all travel all the time to do food events.
We'll get to that too.
Yeah, but there's been multiple times where I'll pack up briskets from here, the briskets that we like. I'll pack up the wood from Smithfield that we get in every week. I'll take the pit with me, and let's say it goes to California, let's say it goes to Arizona, it goes to Charleston. Mm-hmm. Briskets do not come out the same that they do here. Right. And a lot of people don't realize, like, no matter all the variables that you have, like Texas has such good barbecue just based off of the weather, the humidity, the heat, and everything. But going back to your point, we just got good. It's the heat and the humidity. It just.
I'm gonna go with that. I believe you very much, but I also am the guy that is the first one is like, too hot to fire that pit up outside. I'm gonna sear a steak in here. 'Cause I, you know, it's all these events that we all sat around in blazing heat.
Yeah.
I mean, your pit rooms are hot. Yours is really hot during the summer.
Yeah.
Yours is inside.
Mine's air conditioned, baby.
And yours is inside. Because you guys both work on the J&Rs. Right?
It didn't start off out like that.
No.
On 19th Street? Oh my
Okay,
God.
but let's since we're here with that, I'm just gonna,
It was hot, man.
because I've said it before and I'll say it again, that I always thought, you know, and everybody, when I was cooking in this city for a long time, people outside the city were like, well, Houston's really known for barbecue and Tex-Mex and things like that. And I was like, I wouldn't say that 08.
Nope.
09. Anything up pre-09, 2009, I probably wouldn't have said that. I said, there's barbecue joints here, yeah.
Yep.
But is there the ones that like you want to write about, you want to talk about, you want to go eat at, you want to go stand in line at, that you think about, that you like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
There was that, but not on a day-to-day basis. And I think that your place on 19th changed Houston barbecue.
I hope so.
There ain't no hoping to it, man. You guys are sitting over here because of what you guys did, right?
You're OG, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are the OG in this city, like you and your family. That's exactly it. You took something, and we've all talked about why and how you've gotten there, but like the conversation that you and I had a while back about like cooking with your family, your uncles, and they taught you how to season the ribs and do the well, they just instilled like a passion into you that all of a sudden you're cooking at Rice football tailgates, and then all of a sudden it became a business, and you and your family opened up anybody remember the one on 19th? Did you ever get a table? I have 4 tables. How did you sit down? You went outside in 100-degree weather and had barbecue on a picnic table. But it was the first time that like I can't say this really, that it's when we had this conversation, when craft barbecue started to happen. Yeah. Is that a right way to say that?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Because I remember going to Greg's and it was like, it felt like you were at home. Like that experience was like very, very raw. Yeah. It was such a cool experience. Yep. And I do like that was what pioneered Houston, I would believe. That's my 2 cents.
I will 100% say that. And again, there's a big wrestling area up here if anybody wants to challenge that. But
that was the intention. Like, so that was when we started.
Was it the intention of like we're gonna change the way people look at this?
No. Just for it to be home.
Yeah.
You know, at that point in time, the barbecue places were kind of big. They were large. They were Luther's, Pappas, those kind of places.
Which are all great.
Right.
Well,
And
maybe not Luther's.
Wait, but Luther's is Pappas now, right?
Yeah.
I think the Pappas family.
I mean, I
bought
grew
all
up
the
eating
Luthers, right?
Luthers.
Yeah, they bought all the Luthers and then turned it into that.
Yeah.
But you had the Good Company, and you had
Right.
you had a lot of these things out there that have been here for historically years.
Right.
Decades.
Decades. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Pappas did what their 50th anniversary for barbecue not too long ago.
Good company's been a long time.
Good Company's about the same way. Yeah, I mean that's like you're talking about iconic family history of barbecue, and it's delicious. But there was something about what you guys created in that house, and I think you nailed it with home. Like you felt like you were walking into that backyard of your friend's house, and you guys treated every single person like that, and still do.
Yeah. And that's when we started to kind of think about kind of how we want to do this, and Mom would always say, "Don't worry about it, I got it." And I was like,
Now he makes her sound like she's like big and mean.
right?
That is
bitty lady,
the
right?
absolute opposite of your mother. Right? Anybody that knows Mary, like there is no.
Right.
No, she's gonna sweetheart the shit out of you when you walk in. That's about how that is.
That is absolutely right. And so that having her, be there to greet everybody like it was family. Everything from "Hey, sweetie, how you doing?" giving you a hug to telling you to close the door behind you because you're letting the flies in.
Yeah.
And so that whole experience, with that, and then my dad didn't really say a whole lot. He just kind of got stuff done.
Your dad never really says much.
No, and so he just he'll pull you to the side. Hey, I need you to do this, and that's pretty much it. And he'll say hi to a couple people here and there. And then,
Well, that's because he retired.
Yeah.
And you tricked him into going.
He's probably still pissed off, right?
Yeah, he's still mad. He's still mad.
But yeah, and so creating that environment for the barbecue cuisine was important to us as a business plan, as far as kind of how we were going to be viewed by people or by the general public. Because, like I said, the barbecue places we saw growing up were Burns Barbecue, Williams Barbecue. These were little small African-American shops that were, I would say, they're probably 2 or 3 miles from where we were on 19th Street. You got to come north.
I think we always miss Williams.
Yeah, man, they were good people too. I remember going in there as a kid, eating barbecue when we didn't cook. I remember going into Mrs. Burns' place, and her asked me, "Hey, baby, what do you want?" And I was looking at the menu and okay, right, but
Whatever you want me to have.
right. And so, I remember those particular things. I remember having a girlfriend go pick up Burns Barbecue to bring to the hotel when I was at Rice for a couple buddies of mine. I was like, man, we want barbecue sandwiches. And then they got hooked on it. And so I wanted that to be our place where people really wanted, hey, they really want to go here to get that barbecue sandwich. They don't care if they had to wait 45 minutes to get it or whatever it was. It was what they wanted. And you were really able to connect with the people that were there and the food at the same time. So,
That's the first time you ever told me that. That's really cool, though.
yeah, man.
I still like Burns Barbecue.
Yeah? I haven't been there in a long time.
I've been
The only place I ever had a rib sandwich, though.
I like old school style barbecue, like
Yeah.
sauce and like all that stuff. And so many
something
people
like-
ask me, they're like, "What do you like?" I'm like, chopped beef and potato salad. Like that's like.
Yeah.
I need
that's
somebody
all
to explain to me the rib sandwich, though.
I don't get that one.
2 pieces of white bread with 3 ribs in the middle of it. How the hell you eat that?
I hadn't figured it out either.
That's not a sandwich.
they
That's
wanted
just
it.
ribs with a side of
Like
bread.
right?
I'm not getting coleslaw. I'm just getting 2 slices of white bread.
We get those orders too. It's like, don't argue, just bring up a sandwich and say ribs.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
I'm gonna start coming to all y'all's places and ordering rib
I'll
sandwiches.
serve you a rib sandwich.
I know you will.
We used to get them all the time in Brenham, and they would get furious if we took the bones out. Like we were trying to do them a favor. Like
I'm gonna make you a red rib. Hold up.
like
Bone in there.
yeah, they wanted them like everybody wanted the bone in there, and like nobody understood what it was, but
I think they want the bread to soak up the sauce
yeah.
and
Yeah,
the juice.
I get that.
And then eat that. I mean, because you eat bread with barbecue anyways.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I don't know. It's a thing, and we don't get it often, and it confuses everyone when they ask. Guys, just do it.
That hasn't happened in a while though. It hasn't happened in a
It's
while.
on the menu, man. I stopped fighting it. I was like, can you just put rib sandwich up there? Just put it up there.
No chopped beef.
Right.
No
It's like-
pulled pork. Just a rib sandwich, please. I don't want the turkey. I just want the ribs. Give me the bones. Extra bones. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, but like, how do you deal with the consistency? Like, because we went from you guys opening in 2010 to I think that's when that movement started here, right?
Yep.
Which it wasn't. We had this conversation a while back, and it's not just like barbecue, right? It wasn't like. But it was thought process and time and temperature and quality of meat and consistency in that, because you guys probably all you have one thing that you use and you don't really change from it. Like you said, your wood supplier, you have one wood supplier.
Yeah.
You have a different wood supplier, but you have one wood supplier, or you kind of.
I have one. I'm on my 3rd one, but we're on our one.
But you have the little meter that checks like the water temperature.
Oh,
or the
I
water.
got a thing to keep them honest. If I feel like the wood's too dry or too wet, and I'll take pictures with that moisture meter just to prove my point.
You got one of those too? You got one of those too?
I didn't go that far.
All right, man.
But
How many wood guys you are?
This is my second.
Well, my first one, went out of
Yeah.
business. He passed away, and the son didn't take it over. But
Yeah.
new guys are great. They're right down the road. But you can pick up a piece of wood, and tell if it's too dry or too wet.
Yep.
And then sometimes you pick up a lot of them, and they're just too heavy. And so then you pull out that moisture meter, just like, hey man, this thing's at 20%.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys. I like 12 to 16%. But
You guys all understand that? Yeah, I gotta make sure because it's like I didn't intend to come. We could do this for 4 hours. So I'm just going to tell you.
So you
Because
have
I love stuff like this, like the little nitty gritties of like, wood is too moist.
So you have to age your wood. If you cut down a tree and burn it, it's too green. And your
get bad smell.
your smoke is gonna smell like bad weed. And that's how I can always tell. If I walk out of the restaurant, I smell skunk. But if it's too dry, it burns like that. And so,
friend.
yeah. You guys hear that, my friends up there? But there's a window that we all like, and we're probably all a little bit different. But I figured out my window, and because I check it to keep my guys honest, when I am complaining about the wood, it's 12, 16%. I can push 18, but anything after that, it's just not burning.
I feel it's amazing that like we all know Aaron Franklin, right? He wrote a book about barbecue, and it's like the New York Times bestseller 5,000 times over, and it's got like 4 recipes in it, right? And it's like coleslaw, barbecue sauce, maybe a rib sandwich, who knows? But like, it doesn't talk about like it tells you about how to cook a brisket, like the thought process behind it, but not so much like everybody wants a cookbook. I think everybody bought that book like I'm gonna know how to do it now, and that's a bullshit statement, right?
There's so many people. We're probably all guilty of it. Everybody bought the book. Everybody read it. You don't realize it's guidelines.
It's
That's
100% that's what it
It's
is.
just guidelines.
But I would say that probably all 3 of you have completely different ways of doing it, right? And that's not a bad thing. I think it's a great thing. I think that's individualism in barbecue, right? And what makes each one of you so different in what you're focused in.
I think so. And I told you the story. To your point, I told you the story about Wayne Mueller when it was 2015. We'd have been open for 6 months, and This was when everything was hush hush. No, there was no YouTube, Instagram, none of. You were having to go through threads and threads of barbecue forums to figure out what Aaron was using for a seasoning.
Yep.
And still people are trying to figure that out.
Everybody will write an article about it, whether it be right or not.
But Wayne sat down with me and was telling me temperatures he cooked at, the seasoning that he did, the beef that he used, how he did his rotations, the pits he cooked at, and I was like so excited, just ecstatic, because I was like, I'm gonna go back and use all of this shit.
I learned all the secrets.
Right?
And Wayne was like, Leonard, if Jimi Hendrix shows you how to play the guitar for 5 years, you're still not going to sound like you're not going to sound like it. You're not going to sound like it.
Very true statement.
And he was like, what makes barbecue, like your barbecue special, is that it stays true to you. And I can give you all this wealth of knowledge, but it doesn't do you any good if you try to replicate it, because it's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
So to your point, it's like you got to be true to yourself, and that's what's. And a lot of people ask, they're like, well, what barbecue restaurant is better than that? I'm like, I really like Patrick's Whole Hog. Like, I go to Grant's at Pinkerton's for their ribs. At all of us up here, and plus everybody in the top 50, it becomes Ford, GMC, Chevy, and Ram. And it's what makes them special, and it's your personal preference. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good quote right there.
It really is, right?
It is, because at this.
I mean, that was good.
As long as I'm not Ford.
I would be for it.
Hope nobody eyes driving forward.
But it's true.
I drove a Ram for 20 years.
It's true. We all do stuff very, very similar, but very. No, I wouldn't say very differently. It's all kind of around the same, but just tweaked a little bit.
We're probably 95% the same.
Yeah.
But that different 5% is just.
Yeah. But they still get you to the same destination at the end.
Yeah.
And there's no really, there's no really bad barbecue at this
Well, that's
point.
the same thing. Like, you all had the same car, they'd all be different.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no, at this point, with the wealth of knowledge and stuff on the internet, there's no really bad barbecue. People have bad days, bad cooks, But at
I've
this
had some
point,
pretty shitty barbecue.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. But
I'm not throwing anybody. I'm just.
Let's put it this way.
It may have come from my house, but I've had some shitty barbecue.
There's no excuse for bad barbecue these days.
yeah, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
But there can be a bad cook.
I'm baffled by that actually, because like I put wood in the smoker and it smokes, and then I look at the temperature and it's always different, and it just gives me anxiety. And like I don't know how to keep it consistent.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal, and that's what everyone freaks out about. It's got to be at 250, and if it's not at 250, I'm doing it wrong. Your oven at home doesn't even cook at the same temperature, right? Because that's how they work. They go up and down.
Yeah,
up and
but
down,
when
up
I
and
hit the
down.
button, it says it is.
Yeah, but it's not. When I hit the button. But it's not. And so everyone is so fixated on 250 because that's the mythical.
They're fixated
number.
on 250, 275, and then buying the best pits that are out there. And like, I hate to break it to you, and I've told people this all the time. What pit did you learn the most off of? Like both of you guys.
Oklahoma Joe.
The shittiest pits you had.
Yep. 400
Little
bucks
barrel
from
that
Academy.
the dude
barrel,
down
yeah.
the street made, and
And some of those pits that you think about, like you learn the most off of, you probably look back at them and for like firing back up, be like, man, I do not know where to start with this thing.
And here's
And
another
you learn
question.
so much off of it.
You've got 5,000 gallon smokers at your Houston location.
Yeah.
Do all 5 run the same?
They're all different.
Same.
They're all the same measurements. And it's funny when they get the pit tours, I'll make them tell the guest like which one. Every guy in that restaurant or everybody that cooks back there has their favorite pit.
Oh, yeah.
And they all swear to like,
Yeah.
That's
they all
crazy.
swear that that's the pit that cooks the best.
100%.
And they're all completely different.
Everyone's
Also,
got
if you
their
ever
favorite-
walk in when they're all fired up, it will pull the oxygen from your lungs.
And it'll suck the life right out of you.
It really does.
People like they ask, they're like, because it's like during the summer it gets to 120 back there, and they're like, why do you guys do this? I'm like, it's kind of like cross country running. Like, does anybody actually enjoy doing that? Like, like, yeah, you like winning and like.
That's you.
What did you drop? All right.
with me.
I just like, I'm in awe of, I eat out at a lot of restaurants, and I get the opportunity to do that, but when I sit and I walk into y'all's places, I'm literally in awe of what you guys do. Because you have made a decision to live in a world, first off, who wants to cook anything for 14 hours? I don't like to make dinner and then eat it because I spent too much time on it. 14 hours, when was the last time you ate barbecue?
A plate or
If you
just
said
tasting?
No, I mean like a plate. No, it wasn't today, I'll tell you that. He just got back from vacation.
I don't know. It's probably September. I think it was the last time I sat down and actually ate a plate of barbecue.
I mean, you taste it all the time.
Yeah.
Every day.
I mean,
When was the last time you had a plate? I sat down and was like, I'm going to have a 2-meat combo. That's what I thought.
It was his place over the summer. That's probably over the summer last time I ate barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you it broken now,
I think you unplugged it.
Plug it? Now you have to speak up.
Just project.
Yeah, they called me. They're like, I think Patrick Feges is in line. I was like, he didn't text me. So.
Secret shopper.
Yeah.
matter of fact, I was at your place the last time I had a plate of barbecue.
Oh yeah.
That was I came into your place. That was the last time.
We
that
broke
was
some
in
stuff.
September.
I don't know.
I know.
Thank you, Mitchell. I mean, but you have to taste it all the time. And what are you looking for? So, like the people out here that want to cook barbecue, like what are the trigger points? Like what do you see like during a cook? Like each one of you are different. This is why I said this, because I know what you're thinking about. I know what you're thinking about, and I'm kind of curious about what you're thinking about. But what is it that you see? Like what is it like when you trim the brisket? Well, let's just say brisket, because that's the one thing I'm never going to do. Ever. Trim it. And this is, I think this is a good thing for people to understand too, that however you're trimming a brisket, if you're not taking 40% of that brisket off to begin with, 35 to 40%?
We deal in thirds. We trim a third off. You
Okay,
lose
the third,
of
that's
the
still a
weight.
lot.
Yeah.
Think about something that just say, we'll say $10, right? $10 is an even number, right? You're gonna trim a third off. So now you're at whatever, 16, 17 a pound, right? Same a third, pretty close to.
Roughly.
Every animal's different,
Right.
Yeah.
right? That's the big thing. Like we go back to the consistency. Like, you can't just say I'm gonna take off 30%. It's every animal is different, whether it came from the right side, the left side, whether how it's cut from the packer.
Well, we got small briskets in today, so we're probably going to trim off 20% tomorrow because they just came in smaller. And so seasonally, during the winter, there's more fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have to trim them, and we all trim them down to get them consistent in size.
Right.
So they cook consistently. So when you guys come in, it's as consistent as we can get it. But also, we need trim for sausage. And I tell people all the time that if you're willing to eat more fat, I can charge less for my brisket because we have to trim all that fat off.
But I think that's the thing that people don't really understand to begin with. Like, you're already taking something that's brisket used to be super cheap, right? We all have in our head that brisket was super cheap, and in our head it's still super cheap. Guess what? It's not super cheap. That shit it's not like that anymore. That doesn't exist. Nothing like.
Thank you, Aaron Franklin.
Right.
It goes back to all y'all too.
Yeah.
So you're not helping that problem by any means. And quite frankly, like, it is what it is, right? But then you're taking it and you're taking a third of it off to begin with, and then how much are you losing during the cook? Say you
Another third of
say
the
trimmed, you're down to a 10-pound brisket, right? And then that thing goes on the pit.
Probably about 7 or 8 pounds.
7, 8 pounds.
less. We're probably pulling 5 or 6.
Yeah, they get small. We all get
Putting on
average
side.
case weights.
Yeah.
And I honestly prefer the smaller ones, just because everybody thinks that when you have 25 people coming over, that you need one big brisket. But then you look at the fatty side and you look at the lean side, they're like this. But the smaller the brisket is, the more uniform each side is.
The
So we
cook
get
is.
the smaller, but then
So when you go to the grocery store, don't buy that big ass one, all right?
yeah.
And we all probably made that mistake when we were figuring this out,
Yeah,
right? Like,
1000%.
figured out, all right, let's get the
Bigger is
biggest,
better.
fattest brisket.
They just don't cook the same. It's not, like that fatty end is never going to catch up with that, or the lean end is never going to catch up with that fatty end. It just doesn't. So we all get average case weights. We trim that amount down to make everything uniform, so that way we're not opening, closing, opening, closing, opening, closing. And then we, at the end of the day, most of the average on the briskets are like 7, 8 pounds-ish at the end of the cook.
Mine's 6 or 7.
Yeah, small.
So we started off with the 15-pound brisket.
Yep.
And now we're down to 6 to 7 pounds.
Yep.
Do I
Yep.
need to tell you why barbecue is expensive? I
But
don't think we need to have a conversation.
That's not even taking account for,
No,
like, at the
14
restaurant.
hours real estate.
Yeah.
Real estate's freaking expensive,
Yeah.
right?
Well, not
I-
just that. Like at the restaurant, those guys there 24 hours. Like we're talking
Yeah, labor.
24 hours of labor. We're talking wood for 24 hours of a cook, and then this piece of meat that was supposedly dirt cheap that we just shot through the roof. Again, thanks, Aaron Franklin.
Pepper's not cheap either.
Yeah, pepper's not cheap.
No.
And
Salt's
then
inconsistent these
God,
days. Too.
God forbid
Oh, if you
Morton's
can
goes
get
on
salt,
strike
You can
again.
get it.
Morton's goes on strike. We all have granular salt. That just think about something, because I had this conversation with Aaron, and he was like, "Salt's my biggest problem right now. One of my biggest problems." I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, we buy it by the 50-gallon drum, and when that 50-gallon drum is different than the other 50-gallon drum, and as a cook, this is like as a cook, like as somebody that cooks with it, like I don't measure salt,
No.
right? When I'm doing the dish or whatever, I'm not going, ooh, it's a quarter teaspoon. No, my feel is you buy a salt that you're used to cooking with. Every time they shipped me diamond crystals, I got mad.
Yeah.
Remember that shit? Get the hell out of here.
Yep.
Right? Use that for curing. Like, I'm not doing that because I am used to Morton in my hand.
What's so funny is there's regions in this country that are the complete opposite.
I love
Don't
though.
touch Morton's.
I love how the distributors are like, well, we have Diamond. It's the same as Morton's.
It's
No,
not.
it's not.
It's a
No,
totally
it's
different.
not.
Yeah.
It's a smaller flake. It sticks to the meat better. You tend to over-season the meat.
There you go. Why we don't use iodized? It sucks. Just throw that shit away.
Wayne does use. He does.
Okay, well, I mean, that's what he's used to.
That's all he does.
Wayne's
Nine-
old school.
It's the cathedral.
nine 9 parts pepper to 1 part table salt.
It's not a secret. He's got a sticker that says 9-to-1.
That's the only person that I know who uses it.
And you could taste that in his meat though, because he's very pepper forward.
Yeah.
When you eat his meat.
I mean, 9-to-1 is very pepper forward.
I mean,
That is aggressive.
But find a better beef rib than his.
I don't know if you can.
No?
yeah.
The only one who could touch him was his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 9-to-1
Yeah.
to table salt?
Yeah.
Hey, that's just blowing. You guys didn't expect to come here tonight and have us listen to a conversation about salt, but it's a very nerdy thing, and I think that's literally why we're all here. All right, but I can't get past that.
3rd generation restaurant, James Beard winner, 9-to-1.
Table salt.
Table salt.
On a brick pit that he hates. But it produces magic.
And he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's super
He's
nice.
smarter than all of us.
Oh, I got footstool. Anyway, sorry. Little things in my head. So at this point, we're down to a third. You've lost 2/3 of a brisket. That makes no actual business sense in my head.
It doesn't.
You guys are awesome.
That's why I push ribs.
Yeah, you're shepherd the house of ribs, baby.
Well, right, rib
Rib
sandwich.
sandwiches. 3 bones, $12. Let's go.
So for the longest time, barbecue restaurants were judged on how many briskets they cook. How many briskets do you cook on a typical Saturday, right?
You don't really want to cook that many.
And so what I tell people now is by design, not a lot.
No.
You know?
John Lewis is the one that figured it out.
Oh, man.
He took his ass to South Carolina, opened up in Charleston, made Texas barbecue great over there, but he cooks 45 pork butts a day.
Insane.
But how many briskets do you cook a day? I already know the answer, so just spit game to it because it's.
We go through about 650 to 700 a week. So I would be thrilled.
At 2/3 loss. At 14 hours minimum.
I remember being so excited, like man, Aaron cooks 100 something briskets a day. That's so awesome. No, it's not. It's not. It's all it sucks.
Because I mean,
But I love it though because I love the process of brisket. I love it to death, and I know everybody else does it. But to Patrick's point, man, I wish I could cook ribs. It would just be awesome.
Here's the deal, just trimming brisket. Good trimmer can trim 10 briskets, maybe 15 briskets in an hour.
Yeah.
So then do the math on that, and then you got to figure out what to do with all the trimming.
Then making sausage.
well, that's the one thing I asked you a long time ago. What's your biggest loss? And you're like, beef fat.
Just throw it in the trash.
And that's why we turned it into the candles.
Yeah, and now we throw it in the fryer.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean you got to think we do yield tests every week we do a yield test on the brisket. Keeps our guys honest, but lets us know what's going on. You know, how the briskets are coming in and all that stuff.
You guys know what a yield test is?
We get we do 10 at a time. So we get 10 briskets, weigh them in the bag. Take them out of the bag, weigh them again, because we're paying for that plastic that it comes in.
And the blood that's in the
And the
bag.
blood, or myoglobin.
Myoglobin.
And then we trim it. We trim the deckle flap off, that triangle, the mohawk on top. We trim fat down to 1/4 inch. We trim the briskets down so it's nice and shaped. And so then we weigh that brisket that's trimmed. And then we cook it and we weigh that. And so then that gives us an actual food cost. And then we take the fat and we weigh that. We cut this much fat off of these 10 briskets. We weigh the trimmings. We cut this much trimming off these briskets. But these are going in sausage, so now we know what the food cost is for sausage.
Because right before that is the point when they start to cry.
Yeah. And so when I was selling you beef fat at Georgia James,
Georgia, James, hi.
it was to produce I was selling you a 5-gallon bucket of rendered beef fat, tallow,
Yeah.
for $50. It cost me, and this is pre-COVID, prices are a lot cheaper, It cost me $300 to get you $300 of raw fat before I rendered it down to get you a 5-gallon bucket. So I wasn't making money on it. I was just mitigating what I threw in the trash. Because at that point, we were all basically throwing it in the trash. Now, most of us throw it in the fryer.
Yeah.
I mean, you use it for sausage too.
Uh,
I mean, as much as you can.
particular fat.
Yeah.
You can't use all the fat.
No. Just,
Are you frying with all
50-50.
50-50?
So we render all our fat out.
That's like old McDonald's right there.
Are you
baby.
filtering?
Old McDonald's had a beef fat fryer. I tell you, didn't have a farm.
I stole that move from Ray Kroc. We use it for various things, but most of it goes in the fryer, 50-50 fryer oil, beef tallow. We have the best fries in barbecue. But it's...
It's like,
Sure, I'll take it.
I mean, there's two, like, best fries in barbecue and the best barbecue in a food court.
Best food court barbecue in
Yep.
Texas.
In an office complex. There's that too. So.
And if anyone wants to take that title, they can come for it. But we're the only food court barbecue in Texas, so we'll take that title.
What do you do with all that fat?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you got to realize, like, once you start weighing it up at the end of the week, then you times it by whatever your cost is for, I think, $20 a pound this week over the course of a year. How many pounds that is starts to add up pretty quick. And that's mostly going in the trash. Yeah. So it's all fun and games, and people, they're like, man, you got a line outside, you're busy, you're doing all these caterings and all this stuff.
Order
It's
the
like,
turkey.
yeah. But the profit margins on brisket are slim to absolutely none.
Really.
Yeah.
For the most part,
At the
like
end of
even
the day.
during, we talked about this, during pandemic, like beef prices were out of line,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like all of you, like, because there's a certain expectation that brisket is cheap, right? Or was, I don't know what, 50 freaking years ago? Like, when was it cheap? I don't ever remember this.
It was like, literally like 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah, it was cheap then. Yeah, not any time in our, like, what we've got, right? So then prices, like, it wasn't just the pricing, it was like the accessibility to it.
Yeah.
Really, your normal packer wasn't putting it into boxes. You weren't getting what you could, and what you could get went up again, right? And I'll never forget when 44 told me, well, we're going to start doing this, but the prices will go back when we go back. I was like, bullshit. You're going to get us all used to paying that, and it's never going to go back down. Did it ever go back down?
Well, it went up.
Smidge.
It went above $7 a pound for brisket that
No,
summer.
it went to 9.
Well, I stopped buying at $7.
Yeah.
We stopped cooking brisket at $7. It's back down,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
I
still,
stopped cooking chicken wings. No, I'm kidding. Because they were too expensive. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
They were.
But like, how did you deal with that? Because I feel like you guys just all took a loss on it. You broke even, if that.
I don't think anybody broke even during the pandemic, Chris.
I mean, but on brisket especially.
No, I mean,
Just did what you did. I mean,
no,
Yeah.
I think we all got into it because like the craft aspect and like being able to create something special out of a crap piece of meat. We didn't raise our prices during the pandemic, and we took that hit because it wasn't fair to everybody else that was getting their ass kicked during that.
Yeah.
But nobody, like, I was telling the staff the other day, and like I went and ate barbecue somewhere in Dallas, and I had a quarter pound of brisket, mac and cheese, beans, a link of sausage, and a Lone Star. And I got to the register and it was $55. And I was like,
We all do that, but I mean, that's kind of normal.
and even I was like, and we're in the business, and I was like, man, do I need this Lone Star? And I was like, I'm going to put the Lincoln sausage back.
I like how you weighed your options there. Like,
But for us, I mean, and for these guys too, it's a very important, like, barbecue. For some reason, even though it was like 56 years ago, everybody thinks it's supposed to be cheap, and it's our job to like extend the experience all the way to when they leave the restaurant, like to make it special, like, because you don't know if that's somebody's meal for the week that they're splurging on, or for the month or whatever. But that kind of put it in perspective for me, like especially recently, because I haven't bought barbecue in a while.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit,
It's expensive.
it's expensive.
It's expensive.
as it should be.
Yeah.
right? I'm going to say that, as it should be, right? And I don't think anybody should walk out of here and be like, I'm just not going to eat barbecue. It's too expensive. No, it should be, because it's a labor of love, right? One is, I'm not from Texas, but I believe that it is a Texas birthright to love it, right? And it's the communal aspect of barbecue. It's the love of a dream, right? Because not a lot of people in here on a daily basis are going to sit around for 14 to 17, 18 hours to make a piece of meat, right? I'm in for like 4.5 hours on a rib, but that's about as far as I'm going, personally. Like, anything over that, I'm just calling you guys and I'm coming to see you, right? That's just, I'm not doing it, right? But like, do you foresee, like, because you two have kind of like ventured into, you kind of stick to like the traditional Texas, right? The brisket, the barbecue, like the brisket, the turkey, the ribs, the sausage. Do you do a burger?
Now we do.
Now you do?
It was like,
That's a new thing, though,
yeah,
right?
it was new. Yeah, it's new.
And then on like Sunday you do chicken.
Yeah, we do fried chicken, smoked chicken.
I think all of like, because when you start to think about Texas barbecue, I think that you talk about the trifecta, right? Is
Yeah.
it the Trinity? The Trinity, sorry.
Yeah.
So the ribs, the brisket,
Sausage.
and the sausage, right?
Yep.
And that's what most people will consider, that's it for Texas barbecue, right? And I think that you guys have done a fantastic job of branching out, because like you do short ribs on Saturdays. I'm trying to get all this right, because, yeah. And you do...
We do short ribs Friday, Saturday.
We don't do beef ribs.
Why do you not do beef ribs?
They just didn't sell. We tried when we opened up Spring Branch. First of all, we never did a Greenway, because who's going to eat a beef rib then go back to the office, right? Like, so take a half day.
Which is funny, because I've never really... I walked to an office complex one time and was like, this is what it looks like. You guys have cubicles. This is amazing.
Yeah.
But there's
I
so
don't
many
know
people
what that
that everybody does beef ribs like once a week.
We did, when we opened up Spring Branch, we did beef ribs on the weekends.
Yeah.
And I would sell 2 racks on a Saturday. I'm like, that's not worth the effort.
It's not worth the time then.
And how much
right?
were beef ribs?
I don't remember. This was 2.5 years ago. We were probably charging $34 a pound for it. But they weren't buying it. So I was like, I'm going to stop selling it. They can go somewhere.
So many people don't realize, like, we kind of do beef ribs as like a throwing everybody a bone.
How much were we paying for beef
Yeah,
ribs?
that's what I mean. Like,
Oh,
Right.
I don't know, 5 something.
yeah, there's.
You think brisket's expensive? Beef ribs are even more expensive.
Right.
Well, and then like you have to compete with the restaurants, right? Because I always knew that like as a restaurant, I had to compete with y'all depending on what time of year it was, right? Because come winter, every restaurant's got freaking short ribs on their menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's like, but during the summer, barbecue joints all have it on their menu,
Yeah.
or offered as a 1 day a week or whatever. I feel like so. Anyway, I want to get back to like the change of barbecue in a few minutes, but as of now, y'all go get you a little Elijah Craig cocktail, a little, be Betty, have fun. We'll be back in a few minutes. Now, if you haven't signed into the thing, this is where technology comes involved, and I suck at it. So, but there's a QR code. Get on the Wi-Fi here, because this is like a compound that doesn't really let you talk to anybody, which is kind of great. I think all theaters should kind of be that way. But ask a question, and we'll try and get to it here in a little bit. But like, let's take 15. I saw a couple people get up to go to the bathroom, so I know it's about that time. All right? So I'll see you in about 10 minutes. We good with that? 10 minutes? All right, cool. Yes. What up? You guys all right? Did you get a cocktail out there? The answer's yes. Yeah, it's Monday night. I get it. Sorry, baby. Sorry. All right. So there's a lot of questions, but I feel like, honestly, we could do this literally over and over and over again, right? Because I don't think we've even scratched the surface of y'all's lives. And what you do. And I think you guys really underestimate what you do. And I think a lot of people might take that for granted. I do not, because you guys have changed the city, right? In my opinion. And I'm gonna thank you for that right now.
Appreciate you.
Because you thank you. Give it up. Because you have made something that none of us, we all think we're really good at, right? Man, I made the best maybe. I'll give it to you right now, but like, I already know that I'm gonna go get it, like, from each one of you. Like, and I think that all of you offer the same things, but different, right? And there's a reason for, like, I can go to Feges to get a rice bowl or salad, right? Smash burgers on Fridays and some of the best damn wings I've ever had. Aaron. Everybody say hi to Aaron Smith real quick.
Hey.
We work together too, actually. That's how they met.
Boom.
We all worked. Anyway, your wings too. Like, damn it, I can't quit thinking about those.
They're so good. They're so good.
And your turkey, you evil man. Like, it's the things, like, everybody wants to talk about brisket, but it's how they run their restaurants. It's how they run their crew, how they run their people, how they work together in this thing. And like, there's like 22 questions about sides on here. Yeah, you're lucky, because these three people right here make arguably the best sides of barbecue, right? Because it's not just beans, coleslaw, and
Potato salad.
potato salad is the most disgusting thing on the face of the planet.
That's my
Who,
favorite.
who wants to eat a cold potato? I have very strong opinions about food, and those that have worked with me for a long time understand that. But we got a wrestling right here. Avocados are terrible. Just a hot take right there.
You don't like avocados?
They're disgusting, man.
Do you like avocado?
No. Everybody says, I love avocados. Guacamole is delicious. I'm like, well, you like lime, salt, and chili.
Yeah.
And
The
avocados.
vehicle is butter. It's the same texture. Anyway, that's not about, but it's, there is. Green bell peppers. Thank you very much. Want to be a poblano. Wish they could. It's the only food you can taste the color. You can think about that later tonight. You won't use a bell pepper again, I guarantee it.
Should use poblanos anyways. Should use poblanos anyways.
No, I mean, it's flavor. Anyway. What is it about sides that made you do what you did? Your mom, like, you guys have like 32 different sides.
Yeah.
And I tell you, this is why barbecue gets expensive in my household. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the cold hard facts of my wife and I. I want to try all the meats, and she wants a cup of every side. You have 36 of them.
So that was the big thing. So that we wanted to differentiate ourselves from a lot of other people when we started. I think we had 8 sides starting off.
You got
Most places used to
36
go,
now?
you had,
There's a lot.
yeah. There was like you would get, like you said, beans, potato salad, coleslaw.
Yeah, I don't want any of that.
And so we ventured out and coming from where we are, we had Louisiana roots, so we kind of incorporated some of that with the dirty rice.
Good.
And then we started those sweet potatoes when we got to what you call it. So we had greens,
Good.
coleslaw,
Pretty good.
green beans,
Great.
corn,
Good.
potato salad,
Bad.
yams.
Saw that coming, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Cucumber salad, fried okra.
I like that.
What else?
You just hooked my wife on everything.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
And then
Mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Good looking out. Whoever said that. Mac
Then
and
I got to
cheese.
get a quarter pound of everything.
Yeah,
I'm in the Leonard camp. Should I put the Lodestar back?
probably should. But no, I mean, so it just rounded out the meal, you know. And so you had great meats, but then there was nothing else to kind of go with it. So it was like, hey man, give them some good sides to go with it. And for me, it was just that's how we ate at get-togethers.
Yeah.
So whether it was family reunion, whether it was church stuff, whether it was, hey, the boys and stuff were getting together for a pool party after a baseball game. And so everybody kind of brought a different side. So I was used to having a bunch of sides with barbecue and all that. So I just wanted to bring that to the table because, like I said, coleslaw, potato salad, and beans got kind of boring.
Boo.
So, you know, that was the reason we started to do what we did. I think these guys,
Tater tot casserole over here.
right? They bought some creativeness and things.
Well, I'm just trying to. I'm like wondering because I always put potato salad on your tray, like a pint of it. And just, it always comes back.
Take it off, right?
My wife's got her hand raised. She's like, I am in.
It's like untouched, and I'm like,
Yep, it explains a lot. Just killing your food culture.
I just, you know what? I like rice.
Like rice?
I'm a big rice person. You give me bad, dirty rice, I'm gonna crush it. You give me delicious potato salad, I'm just gonna look at it.
Unless it's a tater tot casserole.
Then we have some common ground,
There you go.
right? But you are the same way with sides. You don't have 36 of them, but
no,
what, 8?
yeah, somewhere around there.
Solid.
Yeah.
And then you went off on a totally different tangent, you and your wife.
My wife.
I know. But she's not sitting right here, so I'm glad that you'd say yes.
You've got the
Aaron.
meats, you've got the sauces, I'm taking the sides.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
It worked out.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got how many? 12? A lot.
You got like Moroccan carrots, you've got,
The Brussels sprouts, which we can never take off the menu.
what you fry in beef fat?
Yeah, we fry in beef fat and toss it in
Utilization,
fondue
guys.
sauce.
Utilization.
Yeah. I mean, we change it seasonally too. During the summer, it's macaroni salad. It's cooler now, so we do mac and cheese. We have beets on the menu right now, a really awesome roasted beet salad. We take that off during the summer. We've got charro beans, not baked beans, but charro beans. We do loaded potato salad. Not cold, mustard mayonnaise potato salad.
All right.
Hot,
Baby.
hot potato salad with bacon, sour cream, cheese, all that good stuff
I'm still
in there.
not eating that shit.
Yeah, the Korean braised greens. You know,
Great.
everyone does greens, so we want to do a little bit different.
Well, you get shown homage to Long Point.
I watched a Long Point and my time in Korea,
Yep.
and hog fat cornbread, which is just a derivative of the cornbread we did at your place.
It's delicious.
The best cornbread I ever made was at Underbelly, and we used duck fat and sorghum syrup in there, and
It was awesome.
The most expensive cornbred we ever made.
100%.
So I was gonna say, I was like,
We don't do that. We collect.
I mean, it's also like, you do it.
Yeah, it was so damn good.
We also charge for it, so.
Yeah. I mean, I can't charge those prices. Barbecue restaurants can't charge those prices.
Nope.
But we collect the fat from the hog and use that as the fat in the cornbread, and it just adds that depth to it, and put that honey cinnamon butter on top, which is amazing. We've got the Moroccan carrots. You've got
a wine list too.
We have a wine list.
And I think that is the changing face, right? There's always beer, and I know that's what you guys do, right? But you guys have a really curated wine list that's really fantastic. And it's not like 35 bottles, right? It's small, but it's precise and it's mighty. And I think that's very important. And you guys put in a bar so I can have a bourbon and champagne too. Right? You guys went through the whole beverage program as well.
Yeah. But I'm more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know where your head's at. I do. That's my head most of the time too, but I do like a glass of wine.
But to your point,
It's the changing of barbecue.
no, wine actually goes better with barbecue.
I agree. I think champagne is perfect.
like a dry Riesling
Yeah.
cuts through that fat of that brisket.
I mean, the beautiful of it is like you just go to their place and you like pick a bottle because they're all freaking great, right? And they're meant to go with that. And I think it's all, Ciroc. It's fucking rock, right? All right. We're going to get to question and answer time. My wife's got the first question. No, I'll ask it. It's fine. I'm just letting them know where it came from. My wife would like to know, what do y'all think about lists? That's why I said it's from her, not from me.
All right.
Because I know it.
We all, list kind of makes us compete against each other. We all want to be on the list. And I have a hot take, and I'm going to say it now. I've told him, I think Leonard is going to be the first person with 2 different restaurants on the top 50 list next time. That's my hot take.
Leonard's not allowed to talk about lists.
Leonard's wife said he's not allowed to talk about lists. But so Leonard has Truth Barbecue and Merit Barbecue. And both are fantastic. Truth Barbecue was number 3 on the list. Some could argue it could be higher. But Merit Barbecue is just as good, but different. Different enough where I think I could see them on the list twice.
That's pretty awesome.
But it kind of pits everyone against each other. It's not.
I don't get down with it.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, personally. Because here's my hot take on that. I don't really have a hot take on that. My idea about lists, technically, it gives people like this thing to clamor on, right?
Yep.
For the consumer I got to go hit all these places,
Yeah.
right? But once you start talking about, say, the top 50, 50 is a big number, right? Even 100 is a big number in this state.
The Michelin Guide's a big number.
Well, we're not talking about Michelin right now, but I am probably one of the only people in this state that thinks Michelin should never come here. I am totally against it. And the reasoning, I feel like lists in general, and I don't think you guys do that. I don't think anybody really does this, but I think Michelin can be this way that you stop thinking about what is true to you.
Makes you miserable.
And what is true to somebody else's vision of what you're trying to do. And I think that's bullshit.
When you start
You're not cooking for yourself.
Yeah, when you start giving up on the list and you're not worried about accolades and all that stuff, you actually start cooking for yourself.
And it's so much freer. When you can cook free and clean and your headspace is there, you're so much better.
Yeah.
But when you're like, oh man, like I couldn't imagine, like I'm so glad I'm not in the game anymore. Imagine like, oh, the Michelin person's here. Tighten up.
So you want me to cook?
Fuck, we're gonna do different.
You want me to cook it less shitty?
Yeah, right? I remember that. So-and-so's here, so I'm supposed to not make it suck. Okay, cool. I wasn't going to anyway. Yeah. But like, you start thinking about the things that are intangibles of a restaurant and a business that you wouldn't normally think of to try and make sure that this list is right or this thing is right, instead of being who you are. Yeah. And I think so I don't like the list. I'm not a part of this conversation, Lindsay. I think lists suck.
I'm just curious if you see a difference in the bottom line of your product.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, this past one wasn't as effective as the last couple ones, I would think.
No, time is weird. It was the middle of COVID.
Right.
We saw like a month bump, and then after a month, it went right back to where we were before.
But they're great. I mean, everybody reads the list, they look at it, and they want to go, but then they're done with the list. And you spend some people, careers
Trying to be on the
chasing that dragon and that list, and guess what? There's another list, there's another list, there's another
Because
list,
everybody's got a listicle.
and there's another
Yeah.
accolade.
I mean, I wrote a list.
Yeah.
From the guy that hates the list.
I did say, though, these are just the places I've been to lately that I think are kick-ass.
Yeah.
But no one deemed me the person to be able to write a list.
Yeah, but there's no
I made it up myself.
There's no restaurateurs or like chefs making lists. That's a list I would follow.
Yeah, I honestly.
If you're like, there's like,
'Cause you know better, right?
There's lists that people have never been in the kitchen before
Yeah.
that give so much credit to.
Yeah.
And then there's Instagram. There's food critics on Instagram that have no idea.
Based on one
anything,
visit.
Based off of one visit.
Maybe there's a cold front that day, and we didn't adjust.
I guess that goes back to my consistency thing with you guys. 'Cause
Yeah.
if you're going to have somebody base your existence on one time,
Does
That's
nobody screw up at work ever? No. Right?
I think
no, I don't. I'm so kidding. I'm so kidding. I live my life trying to do that.
barbecue is all about 1,000% consistency.
Yeah.
That's it, from start to finish. And I'll tell people all the time, I go to Subway to get the same crappy Subway club sandwich because I know exactly what I'm gonna get every single time. It's mediocre and it gets the job done, and I'm happy.
But with barbecue, like you don't want to go to, and especially like, you can't be like banging one day, so, then bad. That's when you start to lose customers.
But I think what people need to take away from this as far as lists go is that it's not so much about the list, but it's about the experience.
Yeah.
Right? And barbecue is the experience. It is not so much, it's going to be good, right? I was going to say even bad barbecues, it's not true. But at a certain point, if you're going to these people that are really doing it historically or have made that name for themselves, and you hear about it and you go to it, like you guys are prime examples of that, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be good.
Prime example, lists are bullshit.
Yeah.
When we were talking about doing classes at the restaurant, and people are like, should I wrap in butcher paper, or should I wrap in foil, should I do in foil boat method, or should I not wrap at all? And I'm like, there's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat. I was like, my first year on Texas Monthly List, I was number 10. I wrapped in butcher paper. Snow's was at number 1. I used prime brisket. Snow's used select brisket, and they wrap in foil. This list, I was number 3, and Snow's was number 8.
Same method.
It's the same
didn't
shit.
change.
It didn't change.
Can you stop breaking your mic?
You break another one? I can't take you anywhere.
I think this one's But to your point, it's all about experience. Like I tell people all the time, like, as long as at the end of the day, like you had a good experience, like that's all that matters. And Snow's and Louis Mueller are two of my places that I pitch to people anytime that they ask me where to go eat barbecue. I'm like, Snow's in Lexington and Louis Mueller in Taylor, Texas. And they're like, why? I'm like, because you can take somebody in there that's deaf and blind and they can feel that aura of barbecue and that special experience. And they're going to have an amazing time every time. And you can't recreate that, and a list is not going to change that.
No, I mean, even if that was, I even feel like that old school Texas barbecue that's in, what's that city?
Lockhart.
Lockhart, thank you. Hey, anybody been to Lockhart lately? Is it good? Hey.
It's
the
scratches
Mecca.
an itch,
Huh?
man.
It's the Mecca. It's never going to change.
It's the Mecca, but it's the before, like what we've been doing for hundreds of years. Like that's, you still go in and get a shoulder claw. You can still go in and get like the pork roast or whatever it is. And is it great? It's the experience, right? It's the experience of the Texas barbecue that I think really shines through in a lot of this food, right? And I think that's how it should be. And I think the list, because of that, are bullshit because of that. Because to not have any one of those that are historically accurate, like that is kind of where, well, all of you came from, right?
Well, at that point, just make a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a better thing. Like, I do feel that Kreitz is,
And so many people ask, like,
you want silverware, eat with
people
your
ask-
hands. You want vegetarians, go this way. Like.
Yeah. But
And there's just a guy with a butcher block. He looks like Elvis. Like, I think it's awesome.
Such an experience, though.
Yeah, it's great.
Right? But they
It's
weren't
terrible.
They're
but
not
it's
on any
great.
list.
But is it terrible, though? Or
It's not. It's
has it
not.
not evolved for 50 years?
It has not evolved for 50 years, and I think that's the beauty of that.
Yeah.
I think there's still places like this in the city that are like that too, right? And
that's-
they're still special.
When people ask about, like, fusion barbecue and, like, is that the next phase? And I'm like, maybe it is, maybe it's not. I was like, but places like Kreitz, Smitty's, Louis Mueller, they're going to be around for forever.
They'll outlast all
Forever.
of us.
They're going to
probably.
outlast
And
everybody.
should be.
Yep.
And should be.
Yep.
And are they good at this time in place, like with this style of barbecue?
I love Kreis's, man.
I still love it,
Kreis's.
but you have to realize where they started.
Think about this though, like your
This is where it gets
first
good, guys.
nostalgic thought of barbecue was probably just sitting at home.
Mine was
Your
at
dad, your
Gatlin's
grandpa,
constantly.
whoever it was. So
And it was terrible. But it was amazing at that time.
however bad or
That was
good,
mine.
good it was, that's your thought of barbecue. So your tongue kind of tastes that. And, for me, I always tell people, I just want to be a close second to whatever barbecue you grew up with, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're never gonna really satisfy everybody anyway.
No.
So do the best you can with what you got. And the rest of the kind of stuff, you'll figure it out.
And if
you
you're
know
on a
what I'm
list,
saying?
cool, whatever. If you're
Right.
not cool, whatever. Like,
You
let's
know,
just do what we do.
Somebody asked me that same question one time. Man, you weren't as high on the list. Dude, it's a list, man. I was like, did you come in to eat the other week? Yeah, you're here. So I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
I think it goes back to like what barbecue truly is, right? And to me, it's the first form of cooking, right? Because it's meat and fire. Fuck yeah. Sorry. I'm not sorry, because that's exactly how I feel about it, right? It is meat and fire. And if there's good vegetables with it, even better. And if there's a great pastry case, I'm in. You and that evil ass, like, caramel cake,
Mama truth.
you are an evil human being.
Dirty, huh?
How am I supposed to eat a quarter pound of everything? And then a slice?
Because you didn't even eat fucking potatoes.
I didn't eat the potato salad. Yeah, I didn't waste it. There's a balanced scale, and it definitely weighs heavier on any cake, really, over potato salad. I'll even eat, well, pretty much anything over potato salad.
Let's not get caught up on this.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. All right. Questions? I mean, all right. Ooh, man, everybody's got a lot of questions. Who's your preferred? What is there a brisket brand that you guys like? Is there a choice, select, grade? Like, what do you guys use? There's like 12 questions of that, so I'm just going to wrap it all into one. You guys good with that? Cool. What are you looking for when you find a brisket? Like, what is it that you're looking for?
Size, grade.
Now we know smaller, right?
Yeah.
Bigger
smaller,
brisket?
Like, yeah,
Nope.
out of the bag, 16 pounds, maybe 18 tops.
Yeah.
That's
you're
freaking
coming off
huge.
less- no. You get some 22 pounders, 24 pounders.
Yeah, I don't get a box that big.
Yeah, I don't know where he's getting at.
But, I mean, Prime's great. Prime's expensive. We do upper 2/3 choice.
Yep.
So there's select, choice, prime. But in choice, you have 3 different grades. So upper 2/3 will be the upper 2 part of it. If you get choice, it could be anything in that window. We do Creekstone Farms, which is smaller. I think just 1, maybe 2 plants. So the specs are tighter. They're more consistent when they come out of the box. Not all the time. We do 44 Farms if we had all the money in the world, because those are the best briskets in the world. But there's not a lot of them out there. But yeah, upper 2/3 for us. Creekstone.
Creekstone 2. Previously, now we're on Double R Ranch, and then before that, originally we were on 44 too, but it is very pricey.
You cook too many briskets to
Yeah.
do 44.
Yeah,
So
it's too
basically-
expensive at that point.
We got to the point where they were like, you can have all these briskets, but you got to buy the rest of the cow, and I have no need for
Yeah.
chuck.
I got that conversation. I need more ribeyes.
Uh,
Can you buy more grind?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll open a
Yeah.
burger shop. Yeah.
But for us, we look for the top of the brisket. We look for like no scalping, a nice fat cap over the top. Scalping is during the hot summer months. What happens is the cows begin to mud to keep themselves cold, cool their temperature, their core temperature down a little bit. And if they're mudding before they're processed, when they pull the hides too fast, the fat comes off the hides, takes the fat off with the hide, scalps the brisket. If there's nothing to protect the muscle of the brisket, then it's going to take the moisture out of the muscle, so we look for that. And on the bottom side, we look for intermuscular fat on the inner grain of the lean side of the brisket, so a lot of white streaking throughout the bottom part of the brisket.
And you guys thought that was an easy. I'm just going down to H-E-B and I'm picking up a brisket.
right?
But luckily,
back.
you can get H-E-B now has, I've seen Snake River Farms in there.
Yep. They do have some higher grades in there.
They have Swift 1855 in there every once in a while. And
I saw
you can get,
grass-fed Wagyu the other day. and I
yeah,
was
you can
like,
get quality stuff at H-E-B, surprisingly.
I don't really want lean Wagyu. Whatever.
So yeah, I don't know if you guys know this. So like, most meat you eat is what, 18 months old. And so grass-fed, yeah, they're growing up on grass, but then they move the feedlots and they feed them corn, and that's what fattens them up.
Corn is good.
Yeah. And so when he says the grass-fed Wagyu, an 18-month-old grass-fed Wagyu that doesn't eat any corn is going to be pretty lean.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, why no potato salad at Feges? I think I covered that.
What was it, Tim?
Sydney. Yeah, I got that for you, but I'll ask you other questions.
Everyone else does potato salad.
What's your favorite thing to eat when not eating barbecue?
Korean food.
Korean food?
Fucking love
I
Korean
mean,
food.
I'm not going to argue with that either.
Dude, I gotta be honest. Chinese food, like
I'm not
that's
going to argue that
too.
either.
Yeah. Mexican.
Yeah,
not gonna argue that
Chinese
either.
food and Mexican.
Where? Korea Garden. Or Yori Yori in 99 Ranch if I want quick pip and bop.
It's a good one.
Man, that's a hard.
Chinese, what do you eat?
If I'm eating Mexican, it just kind of depends on where I am.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we have so many, and so depending on kind of what you're going for.
Did you say right here?
Around, yeah. Say right here.
Oof.
What's in this area? So where are we?
I'm eating Tex-Mex. I'm going to go drive down to Candente. and be happy.
Yeah, that's what I said. Candente is probably one of the closest
I mean,
places
I
out
know it's
here.
not like typical Mexican for any, but Tex-Mex, that's damn good queso, mesquite grilled meat. Again, meat, fire.
Plus all that smoke is hanging out on the patio, like there's in it.
Well, you have to literally sit on the patio.
Yeah,
I mean, because my wife's like, I'm going to walk out smelling like mesquite.
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. But
Where do you eat Chinese food?
My guilty pleasure is rice box. So
Rice box. is
that's
so
not a
good.
guilty pleasure, sir. That
Hey,
is
hey,
a pleasure.
Imagine owning a barbecue restaurant in the same food court as a rice box.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Look at that.
Plug.
That egg roll's delicious.
Yeah. That his orange peel, like that
Orange
rice
peel beef?
box is-
The orange
rice
peel
box
beef.
is
So
awesome.
good.
Orange peel beef, like all the time.
It's 2 meals too.
Yeah.
I always
Because you
like
get it delivered, and it's like I only ordered 2 things. You're like,
the bag is like 8 pounds.
how do I
It's
get
like
this in the house? Lindsay, grab the dolly.
Also, like John's such a good guy. Like food truck came up around the same time. Like
but it's so fresh every time.
it's great.
My wife, for my birthday one year, I went to a football game during the day, and then she had all our friends come over, and I didn't know about it. I got home, and the rice box was sitting in front of our house.
Nice.
What is the food truck at that time? I was like,
that's
she
nice.
does love me. It's awesome.
That's pretty good.
God. Oh, man, there's so many good questions here. I don't even know. What's your go-to dinner at home if you're going to cook?
Steak.
Steak? Yeah. You have a kid, so like, Wyatt's telling you what to eat.
He's not eating anything we cook.
Okay.
That kid's eating yogurt, strawberries, or chicken nuggets.
There was the spaghetti at one point. Just,
Spaghetti. Oh, he still eats spaghetti.
and ketchup.
Oh, that kid could live off ketchup.
That's weird.
He's
but
back on goldfish. We were off it for a little bit. We're back on.
You took them away from him?
You cook at home?
He stopped eating it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. What is your favorite thing to eat at the house?
Which is everything.
Probably steaks for me, and then pasta for her.
Oxtails and beef shanks.
Oxtails and beef shanks?
Way to make it easy, huh?
When is dinner ready? I mean, we're almost done here. I'm coming over. Here's just a random question about what do you do to combat wild the temperature swings we have in Texas, 40 degree overnight versus 80 degree during the day?
Like in the pits?
Yeah, I would imagine that's what that is. Kevin, is that correct? In the pit room?
Yeah, just the temperature swings.
Cool. There you go.
Like cold at night or hot at night, like you guys can bat that.
I mean, I just have insulated smokers.
Yeah, ours is like the offsets are
These
a
two
little bit
are
different.
different. He's a little
Yeah,
bit insulated on that.
We
deal.
used to have retardant blankets like over on 19th Street because we had the 2 uprights that we had from close. And so when it was cold at night, we had these fire retardant blankets that we put over the top of the
just to
pitch.
try and hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like welders
just trying to hold it
blankets.
longer, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I've seen that, yeah.
We used to have to, we would go every 4 hours to go load it between myself and Dad. So we would go,
You just add more wood.
yeah.
We have the infrared thermometers, so we temp the inside to see the ambient temperature inside, and then the outside cooking chamber, and kind of like offset. Yeah, we'll over accommodate the fire for the exterior temperature, if that makes sense, to offset the inside. So, in the colder winter months, we'll usually cook at, instead of 275, we'll cook at 280, 285. In the hot summer months in the pit room, we'll cook in, like at 250 instead of 275. So we'll kind of back off the temperature based off, like if it's too hot, too cold, we'll back off or heat it up a little bit more.
I'm going to combat that by going to his place, and his place, and his place. Technical answer. All right. And I think this one is a great question right here. Because we just kind of talked about where we came from, right? Where Lockhart is the standard, right? Or was, right? That was the place that if you came for Texas barbecue, you went to Lockhart, and you went to Black's, and you went to Smitty's, or you went to Kreitz's, and it was, if you didn't do all three, right? Because I always did at least two. Miserable afterwards, of course, but you have to go in and try it, right? And then we started to see in Houston, thank you to you and your family, kind of mold and change that barbecue style, right?
Yep.
Where, okay, we're going to start monitoring temperatures and we're going to see it. And you guys are both in this little matrix of, I've watched you manipulate and move briskets around, like, well, this is going to be here, and then I'm going to move it here, and then it's going to go here, and then it's going to go here. You're playing like hopscotch with briskets, which is amazing. Where does it go now? Right? And I'm okay with you said, well, if we just quit cooking briskets, like, but what does that look like? What is the future of barbecue? Because if you could have a crystal ball, which is impossible, right? And if the guys and the teams in Lockhart had a crystal ball.
Aaron already answered this question it was a couple weeks ago.
Well, I wasn't paying attention to him.
And he said something, he was like, barbecue will always be relevant.
It will be.
And it will always be relevant. And I don't think it needs to change. I think it needs to get better somehow or another, but I think that's the magic dragon that Patrick is talking about that we always chase. How much better can it get? I mean, there's more and more places popping up that are great, but
Where's it going now?
where's it going? I don't know.
I think you kind of hit on it earlier. It's just I think people are going to start using their background more. You're going to have more Blood Brothers, more Koi barbecue.
Yep, which I'm okay with all of
More, you got what KG barbecue in Austin doing,
Mm-hmm.
Egyptian, Texas style. I think you're going to see a lot of people leaning into their family history and incorporating these flavors into a base that is Texas barbecue.
But then after that, will Texas barbecue get lost, and then will it make a full circle after that?
Texas barbecue is checking German food anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, to that point, like, I think, yeah. What you got? Holler at me. Oh, go ahead. I love it when someone does this. Where are we going?
So I think a lot of that stuff is kind of culturally based on kind of where you figure
100%.
barbecue comes from. You know what I'm saying? Because coming from an African American background, I didn't really care about or even know about Kreitz or any of those guys.
Yeah.
Mine was like kind of Beaumont, kind of East Texas,
Burns.
where we kind of really knew kind of what was happening or what we thought was good. I mean, that's more just flavor profile and kind of how we cooked or what you had access to at that point in time. So,
Because I think there's definitely there's two different things, right? There's Hill Country barbecue, and there's East Texas barbecue,
yeah,
right? And I think that those are two different
two
styles that are very similar to create Texas barbecue.
right.
I don't know what people in North Texas are doing. I'm just going to throw that out there. I have no idea. I think that's just like move the cattle through, right? But, and so I think you do see those styles.
Yeah, and so it's up to us to be able to give people an outlet to whatever cultural experience you have to be able to present barbecue and however you want to do it.
Because I think that's where you get into like
Yeah.
the salt and black pepper, the sweet potatoes, the dirty rice, the greens. That's all coming from Eastern Texas.
So, and so as we continue to look at those things, it's
Not potato salad.
how do you make them? How do you have them all preserved in whatever your cultural history is? And then we kind of round those out and kind of what, because like you said, what you see now, you see a lot of Koi barbecue, you see a lot of Asian influences, you're starting to see Indian influences, you're starting to see African influences.
Yeah.
With what you bring in. I've actually started to explore, because hell, I was ignorant to it.
Yeah.
To those particular flavors. So it's kind of like, okay, how do we start to kind of, make those things part of what we do in our everyday fabric of barbecue.
Well, I think that's where I personally hope barbecue is going, right? To see the individuals. I think that like where Texas barbecue really can stand is that trinity, right? The brisket, the ribs, the sausage.
Yep.
Outside of those realms, even into those realms, but outside of those realms, if we can start to see, because even like with Blood Brothers, they do the traditional of those, right? Koi, I believe, too, right? And then it's everything else that comes into the experience, which gives you that experience of where I think the future of not just barbecue, but food is. Because it opens all of our eyes to other aspects of food in its realm that we can live in, which I think is awesome.
Amazing.
It's one of the best things, I think.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go ahead and say the smoked turkey banh mi at Blood Brothers is freaking fantastic,
All their specials are fantastic.
right? And so I think that we can live in that world of like evolving and learning, right? Even like because you did Ope's festival not too long ago.
Yep.
You worked on that
Yep.
pretty hard, a dish
Yeah.
for that.
Because it was goat, and I wasn't traditionally like cooking goat, so I had to sit down and kind of figure out kind of what I wanted to do, and then okay, hey, I smoked the goat off and then braised it down to try to give it that particular flavor, but I don't know how I could have gotten more smoke into it. This would be maybe an extra critical of it, but the taste of the dish was great, but using those different flavors, I said opened up a whole nother world for me as far as what I could possibly use, looking at different seasonings and all that kind of stuff. So,
And I think that's the beauty of meat and fire, right? Is that it gives you the opportunity to learn so much, right? And use where we've come from and where we're going, right? And I think that's the most important thing about food, not just barbecue, and people in general. So, wow, that was a great little thought process. Brandon, good question, bud. You know what?
We got one more.
Okay.
go for two.
Go for it. Well, somebody asked, let's see. Well, here's a good one. Whew. Well, you already answered this question. If you could open up a different type of a restaurant, what would it be? You did Fit and Feathers, so you're in there, right? Which fried chicken is damn good, my friend. What do you want to do?
I can't tell you. I was going to call you about it yesterday. I can't tell you.
All right, we'll talk about it. Some things you just got to leave at home, right?
I want a burger restaurant.
You want a what?
Burger restaurant.
You want burgers?
I fucking love cheeseburgers.
Who
man.
doesn't love a cheeseburger?
My first job was working at Wendy's. I love cheeseburgers, man.
I can tell you that.
Okay.
Where
So
is
somebody asked, like, why does
What's
Truth Barbecue wrap in cellophane and leave in the warmer?
Where are they at?
Huh?
Are they still here?
Yeah, they didn't go anywhere.
So we wrap in cellophane. It was actually a fluke. We've always wrapped in butcher paper. We did a couple of food events, and it was the second Texas Monthly food event that we did. And loading 25, 30 briskets into a Yeti cooler and then the fat solidifying at the end of the day is
That sounds
it's
disgusting.
a big chore to spray down and clean up at the end of the day.
Yeah, because water hoses don't come out hot.
No, but
right?
You know,
use a hose to like,
like
put that at 97.
clumps.
You got to put a ton of Dawn in there to break down all that grease, like solidified. It's just miserable. So we started, for events, we started wrapping the briskets in cellophane when they would come off the pit. And so when we would load them up for an event, we would just throw them in the cooler, and then boom, we didn't have to clean up the cooler. And then after one event, the briskets started looking really, really nice and moist. And I was like, yeah, maybe it was just a really good cook. Next event, same thing. And I did both of those cooks, and I was like, I didn't do anything different. I was like trying to beat the last one, and then I realized, like, unwrapping one of the briskets, all the fats that were same way with the steak. You know, like one of the steak to rest, all the juices and everything to sit back in there. Same thing happens with the brisket, but everything was also left on the bottom of a sheet tray or the bottom of the cooler.
Yep.
So the
Or
reason,
on a cutting board when you don't let it rest, you
Yeah.
just go ahead and start hacking it and shit. Don't do that, all right? You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
so we started wrapping them in cellophane because we didn't want to clean up the coolers, and they'd actually kept the briskets more moist. So we were trying to avoid cleanup and actually made an improvement on the brisket.
Yeah.
So that's why we do it.
Well, and also for those of you that cook at home, like, none of you are pulling a brisket right off of the smoker and slicing it and throwing it back on the smoker. Like, that shit doesn't work that way, right?
Some people do though, and like, I always tell people, like,
I'm like, really?
you watch the YouTube videos, and like it's so funny. You see them slice into the brisket, and they're like, oh man, it's so moist. They're like, stop it, dump, everything's dumping out of there. I'm like, they don't show you what that shit looks like 30 seconds after they cut into it.
No, it's terrible.
They get the first, like, everything's oozing out, and then it just completely oxidized.
Yeah.
So that cellophane helps keep everything completely intact.
Yeah, and resting.
Yeah,
So you wrap in paper, then cellophane?
yeah.
That's so funny because at Greenway we do the same thing, but we've never talked about this.
Oh no.
It's same thing, catering events.
Yeah.
We were doing a catering event trying to keep stuff clean,
Are you learning this too?
and we had it in paper.
I wouldn't do it because it was dirty. I just did it because the
So you do the same thing?
cooler method is freaking amazing.
Yeah, the coolers.
Yeah, like for events, but
Cool-
we
like-
don't do it in the shop. It's like,
I've
why don't we
rested
do
briskets in cooler, like Gettys, and it's better than a $10,000 Alto Sham. Like,
I'm going to go ahead and tell you that Yeti's not just for keeping your beer cold. It is the greatest
Keeps
thing.
hot stuff hot, man.
yeah.
Keeping hot stuff hot, right? Even if you're gonna reheat stuff, a gallon or two boiling water, throw something that's vacuum sealed into it, it's gonna lock it down, forget about it for a couple hours, it's gonna bring it up to temp. Like, those things are magical.
But that's why we do that. And I will say that 98% of the time when people mess up on cooking their brisket, it's the resting process.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you spent 14 hours roughly cooking this thing,
Yeah.
right? You're hungry, you're gonna have to wait 3 hours.
No, no.
Everybody goes by time, and that's the issue. Because in Aaron's book, he says 2 to 2.5 hours, and everybody asks me, they're like, "How long do you rest your brisket?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know if you're cooking a brisket that's 25 pounds or if it's 12 pounds.
You never know.
They're gonna cool down at different rates, so you have to go for a specific temperature. So
What are you waiting for it to get to?
140 to 145 degrees
And when are you pulling it off the smoker at?
in the hot summer months or the cold winter months.
Take your pick.
Hot
just-
summer
oh my God.
months,
I open up a pen.
212. Cold, like if it's
Which is boiling.
like it's very cold outside, 100, like high 190s.
So,
So there's, and again, in Aaron's book, he talks about 203 degrees. That is a guideline because you don't
Everything's
know,
guideline.
you don't know if that brisket is 15 pounds or 23 pounds.
I mean, you could temp every single brisket you cook, and they could all be different temps.
Yeah, they're all gonna be
when they're done, out of the same box. They're done when they're done. Fork tender.
Oh my God, my wife, when I'm cooking, yeah.
When are you gonna be home?
When are you going to be home? What time are you going to be home? When are you going to be home? What time? To this day.
I mean, I got that all the time. She had the reservations on her phone, so she knew when people got sat. And like, you haven't had anybody sit down for an hour. What are you still doing there? Look at her. She knows.
Yeah, but the reservations are different. The brisket's going to be done when it's done.
Brisket's always done, and you always have that one stubborn brisket that is just Taking his sweet time.
But it's that one that you're like, well, just throw it in with the rest, it'll get there. That's the one you're going to be judged on.
Oh, that's the one Daniel Vaughn's getting.
No.
Think about that.
And so many people, to that point, so many people ask about consistency. And I would say our cutters, and we preach this at the restaurant, our cutters are just as important, if not more important, than the people cooking the barbecue.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they are the eyes and ears of what happens. And I preach this to people all the time. My brother and I are 10 years apart. We have the exact same parents. He's a foot taller than I am. He's got blonde hair, and he's a string bean. We're completely different. Same thing with cows, with genetics. Not all cows are going to be the exact same, but it is the cutter's job to make it look like everything is perfect day after day after day. And they are, I would say, more important than the people cooking the barbecue.
That's amazing.
They can make or break you.
Yeah.
Right?
They're the gatekeeper, right?
Do they care? Do they not? Right?
Yep.
And generally, that cutter is like, that's the steak cook at the restaurants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need the cutter communicating with the cook.
Yep.
Yep.
This is what I saw today. And then the cook takes that, the pit guy takes that and manipulates to try and get better.
You guys thought you were just going in for a little slice of brisket and fold over, huh? Oh,
Wrong. Rib sandwich.
rib sandwich.
Rib sandwich.
Rib sandwich for everyone. Hey, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Greg, thank you. Leonard, thank you. Patrick, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to thank y'all for coming out tonight. I want to thank Stages Theater for this, Open Table, D. Betty, Elijah Craig, C&T Design. Charles, I love you more than you know. Thank you so much. This is a work in progress, what we're doing. And I think we're just having these conversations about deep diving into things like this is how we learn to be not just better cooks, but you also learn some insight into like what it really is, right? Some people in here run restaurants. They have their own stories to tell, right? Maybe we'll get to that point, Gatlin, at some point where you come up here and sit with us so we can learn about being the OG Vietnamese restaurant in this city.
Yes.
Right? But it's what makes us better people, right? To understand Central Texas barbecue versus East Texas barbecue versus like the Vietnamese style and the Chinese style barbecue and where we're going in food and where we're going as people and a culture and it's just in humanity. And I think that we can talk about barbecue all day long, but we're talking about people, right? And that's a beautiful thing of this. And did we teach you how to make a brisket at home tonight? No, we told you to go out and buy that shit and go do stuff. Unless you're really into it, like it's about supporting the family and the teams here and their families and their teams because each one of these guys up here work with their families on a daily basis, right? Whether there's mom and dad, brothers, sisters, wives, family, everybody, you know, and I think that's what barbecue really is, right? Yep. It's family because it started off as family because you started in the backyard cooking for your family. And I think that's a beautiful thing about this style of food. So I want to thank y'all very much. Next week, next Monday, Aaron Bludorn will be joining me up here. Because I had a lot of questions for that guy. You came to Houston, man. Like, you guys all came from Houston. Yeah. You're all from around this area. That guy showed up, kicking ass. You want to come next week? Yeah, come on next week. We'll hang out. You know, 5 chairs, guys. Staff's like,
Why'd you come here?
what are you doing? But you know what? It goes back to go enjoy yourself, enjoy your family, enjoy your holiday season. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your neighbors. Just smile, right? That's the thing. Smile. It's way easier than frowning.
Ain't lying.
Right? And if you didn't learn anything tonight, just learn to have a good time. Cool? I appreciate y'all coming out tonight.